You've seen it. A guy who's 35 but looks 50. Massive, muscular, veins everywhere, and a face like worn leather. Meanwhile, his coworker, same age, half the size, looks a decade younger. For years, people assumed that was just gym tan and stress. It isn't. What ages a steroid user isn't the training or the diet. It's a cascade of damage happening under the skin that almost nobody talks about. And the most disturbing part? Some of it never fully reverses, even after they quit. Today I'll show you exactly what's happening layer by layer. Quick note before we start, I've put the opposite of all this, the sustainable way to actually stay young, into a simple plan called the Longevity Playbook. I'll mention it once more at the end, no pressure. Now here's the key idea. Steroids don't just build muscle, they flip your body into a state that mimics fast-forward aging. In your skin, your heart, your hormones, and even your bones, and it starts with the thing you see first. The skin. Your skin's youth comes down to two proteins, collagen, which keeps it firm, and elastin, which lets it snap back. High-dose anabolic steroids interfere with how your body builds collagen and actively break down elastin fibers. The result is skin that's thinner, looser, and creased, the exact texture we read as old. It's why so many heavy users get deep wrinkles and stretch marks far too early. The muscle underneath gets bigger while the wrapping around it gets weaker. That mismatch is the first thing your eye picks up. There's a second skin attacker, and it's sneakier. Steroid abuse pushes up cortisol, your stress hormone. And chronically high cortisol is one of the most aging molecules in the body. It breaks down elastin, slows wound healing, and strips the skin of firmness. This is the same mechanism that ages people under years of extreme stress. So a steroid user is getting hit twice. The drugs damage collagen directly, and the cortisol surge tears down the scaffolding from another angle. Double the aging in half the time. Think of these as internal sparks to scorch your cells from the inside. This oxidative DNA, proteins, and the tiny power plants inside your cells, and it can push those cells into early death. Oxidative stress is one of the core drivers of aging itself. Steroids don't just add muscle on top of your biology, they accelerate the clock ticking underneath it. I'll get to the single most permanent kind of damage near the end, the one that stays even after they stop. But first, the skin's surface. Steroids ramp up oil production. That floods the pores, triggers heavy acne, often across the back and shoulders, and enlarges the pores themselves. Over time, that acne scars. And scarred, thickened, oily skin doesn't reflect light the way young skin does. It reads as rough, weathered, older. It's a small thing next to heart damage, but it's one of the visible tells. Here's where it gets strange. Many serious users don't just take steroids. They stack growth hormone and IGF-1 on top. And chronically high growth hormone does something unmistakable to the face. It thickens the brow, widens the jaw, coarsens the features, enlarges the nose, hands, and forehead. Doctors call this look acromegaly. It's the same facial change seen in a hormone disorder that ages appearance dramatically. That's why some physiques look almost inflated in the face. Bigger bones and features that read instantly as older and harder. Now the part you can't see in the mirror, but it's aging fastest of all, the heart. In one study that tracked users across a single cycle, the left ventricle, the heart's main pumping chamber, gained nearly 30 grams of muscle in about 16 weeks, and its pumping efficiency dropped. A 16-year follow-up found long-term users had bigger, stiffer hearts and a lower ejection fraction than non-users. A thick, stiff, struggling heart is a hallmark of an aging cardiovascular system. Except here, it's happening decades early, and it doesn't stop at the heart muscle. Steroid use is linked to accelerated atherosclerosis, the furring up of the arteries, plus stiffer vessels, higher blood pressure, and damage to the delicate lining inside them. Your arteries have a biological age of their own, and these are exactly the changes that make them old. It's why you sometimes hear of shockingly young bodybuilders having heart attacks. On the outside, peak physical shape. On the inside, the cardiovascular system of a much older person. The mirror lies, the arteries don't. Let's come back to something you can see. The hair. Many anabolic steroids convert into DHT, a hormone that attacks hair follicles. DHT inflames them, shrinks them, and over cycles they miniaturize, getting thinner and weaker until they stop growing. Here's the cruel part. Once a follicle miniaturizes past a certain point, it can go permanently dormant. It doesn't come back when the drugs stop. Rapid, early balding is one of the fastest ways a face reads as older than its years. And for many users, it's locked in. Which brings us toward that permanent damage I promised. When you flood the body with synthetic hormones, it shuts down its own production. The brain stops signaling the testes, and natural testosterone collapses. For some, it switches back on after stopping. But studies of former users found many still had low testosterone and the symptoms of it: fatigue, weakness, low drive, mood changes, years after their Cellurate's last cycle. There's one more visible sign, and it's almost a signature. The distended, bloated midsection you see on the biggest users, often called steroid gut. Growth hormone and IGF-1 can enlarge the internal organs and the intestines, and combined with insulin use, the belly pushes outward, even on a lean, muscular frame. A hard, protruding gut on a shredded body is deeply unnatural, and the eye registers it as unhealthy and old. It's the outward sign that the growth signal was turned up everywhere, not just in the muscle. So here's the reframe, the thing that makes all of this land. We think of steroids as a shortcut, a few years of looking incredible. Then you stop and reset. But that's not how the body works. The wrinkled skin, the coarsened face, the dormant hair follicles, the stiffened heart, the shutdown hormones, a lot of it is slow to reverse, and some of it never does. Looking older isn't a side effect they'll grow out of. It's the bill coming due. Real, lasting youth was never something you could inject. If you want the actual blueprint for the opposite, how to build strength, protect your skin and heart, and keep your hormones healthy the natural way, in a simple 30-day sequence, that's what the longevity playbook lays out. The link's in the description if you want it. But the real takeaway is simpler than any supplement. The body keeps a perfect record of every shortcut. Respect it, and it shows. If this made you see those physiques differently, watch the video on screen next. It pairs perfectly with what you just learned. I'll see you there.